In this video, I'm going to explain, particularly to real estate agents, what exactly a lease option is and why you should care. So there's three kind of big questions that both agents and sellers have. The first being, what is the benefit? Because to real estate agents, it makes more sense to just go ahead and sell it outright. But for people that maybe don't have a lot of equity or are trying to get the most money possible for their house, this can be a great strategy for them to kind of get the best of both worlds. So it does put the most money in the seller's pocket because we're offering to pay full price for the house, and they may be making some money month to month on top of that as well. It combines the best of renting and selling because we're leasing it, but they don't really have any of the maintenance or repair concerns that they would have with the regular rental because we cover all repairs below $500, and then usually between homeowners insurance and a home warranty that we'll put in place, pretty much all expenses are covered. And it also is a great benefit as far as selling the property because you're selling it with no closing costs for full price, no commissions or fees or anything like that. And don't worry, you do get paid. I'll cover that in a second. It creates a win-win-win. It's a win for the seller because they're getting the most money. It's a win for the family that ends up buying the house, and it's a win for real estate agents because it provides them another tool to help sellers that maybe normally they couldn't have helped. And the house is maintained while increasing their equity and their payout. So really all these are huge benefits to the homeowner, as well as, it's not listed here, but they still get the tax benefits of writing the property off on their taxes. So I know the next question probably on your mind is, all right, who gets paid and how? Because if we're not buying it today, then how are you getting paid? Well, the seller is getting paid at closing and possibly some up front, just depending on the situation. The agent is typically paid the greater of the first month's rent or a percentage of the fee that we collect from the tenant buyer. It's generally not going to be quite as big as your 3% commission you're used to, but this is not meant to be for every single house. This is more for the houses that don't have very much equity, or maybe whatever their situation is, they just can't sell it outright like they normally would. We are only paid by the tenant buyer. That is the family that we are putting in place there. It's someone who wants to buy the house, but for whatever reason, usually a credit issue, they can't buy it today. They do make good money and they can afford it. It's just usually some sort of credit issue that we're going to help them get repaired so that they can qualify for a loan in the future. And then what's the risk? The biggest risk that I hear from homeowners is, well, what if they trash the place? Generally, this does not happen. It's not like a normal renter. This is someone who does want to buy the property. They treat it like their own. They're oftentimes fixing it up, making it prettier, unlike a renter who just treats it, like a rental car. That's one way I'd also look at it as like, how do you treat a rental car versus how do you treat, a car that you're leasing? A rental car, you kind of do whatever, you don't care. If you're leasing a car, you're going to take care of it because you have equitable interest in that car. We do require that the tenant buyer invest with an option fee that they pay to basically, it's sort of like a down payment on the house. And that's basically how it helps to make sure that they got real skin in the game, and they're way less likely to trash it because if they do, they lose all that money that they put into it. So they got a much more significant investment into it. We also cover any damage by the tenant buyer. So worst case scenario, they do trash it, which like I said is extremely unlikely. We're still going to cover that damage, which we do put into the contract as well. And then the way I look at it is like, okay, really the worst case scenario, the most likely worst case scenario is a few years go by, the tenant buyer hasn't decided to purchase the property. Let's say they never do, and we go back to the homeowner and say, hey, look, they decided they don't want to purchase it. Do you want to keep this going, or do you want to just sell it outright and we both walk away from each other? Then really the worst case scenario is that someone's been paying down their mortgage and has been taking very good care of the property and taking care of property management and repairs. So they're kind of in a win-win situation because now they got even a better stronghold. So that's kind of the three big questions or the three big categories of questions I get from day to day. I'm sure you have many more, but I just wanted to make this real quick to kind of answer some of those main questions you guys usually have. Thanks. Have a great day.